mouth of the sound Jimmy Hart. Hey, check out my new tag team, baby, Monte and the Pharaoh.
Hey, Jimmy, don't forget to tell them about Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast.
Well, you know what, I would, but you already did it.
It's Monte and the Pharaoh. With Monte and Pharaoh. The Monte and Pharaoh Show. Monte and Pharaoh, bro.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
Monte and the Pharaoh. Monte and the Pharaoh.
The Monte and Pharaoh Show.
And you're watching the Monte and Pharaoh Show.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
With Monte and the Pharaoh.
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 Monte and Pharaoh. Monte and the Pharaoh. And Monte and the Pharaoh. Oh, is it Monte and the Pharaoh?
Yeah. Monte and Pharaoh.
The Monte and the Pharaoh Show.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
To the Monte and the Pharaoh Show. And it's Monte and the Pharaoh, baby.
Watching Monte and the Pharaoh.
With Monte and the Pharaoh. Monte and the Pharaoh. Oh, what a run.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
Monte and the Pharaoh.
Hey, cut music. When you want the best in professional wrestling, Long Island, there's only one place you're going to get it, right here.
Monte and the Pharaoh. Now, that's not just the coolest, and that's not just the best. That, my friends, is just incredible. Monte and the Pharaoh.
You've got the future Hall of Famer, that rocker, Marty Jannetty, and MJ in the house, and I'm sitting here with two more future Hall of Famers, Monte and the Pharaoh. We're doing that stuff, and we're going to rock it.
How evil is Vince McMahon? I have a hard time with that when I see the way Taker appreciates and respects him.
Yeah.
And you're right. Where are all those keyboard guys to destroy Mark Calloway?
Straight to the top. We're living this life, not just dreaming it, we're doing it for real. Straight to the top. Working hard every day just to leave out that tower.
So, Jimmy, we're going to have like a kind of a tribute type of show today,
Kind
I
of.
guess, considering.
Kind of. Okay. This means unfortunate things have either happened recently or in the past around this time of year. Ugh, what do you got?
It's amazing.
Oy.
It's amazing all the sad news that hits, forget about everything that's going on in
Does
wrestling.
this profession ever get a break? I wonder about that. There's always something bad happening. Like just a few days ago. Why don't you fill us in, Mike?
Pro wrestler Shad Gaspard body was found, I believe, yesterday. Everybody knows the story. He went out swimming with his son, got hit by some massive riptides, and
This is after they just lifted the COVID, whatever restrictions.
correct. And lifeguards came out. From what I understand, Mr. Gaspard pointed to the lifeguards to take his son in, and then he got hit with a pretty major wave, and he disappeared.
Right.
And unfortunately, I know we were holding on for hope. Maybe there was some sort of a miracle, but unfortunately,
The body washed up yesterday.
he lost his life. So, Jimmy, I'm going to ask you not a strange question, but
Coming from you, it's never strange. What do you got?
many people talk about what a hero he is, right?
Sure.
Would you call him a hero or a father?
I'd call him both. I think he has enough of a track record. I don't recall him ever getting in much trouble. I could be wrong, but from what I've read in the past, I don't recall him being in trouble. The two things that he publicly seems to be remembered for are both heroic acts. He stopped a robbery, didn't he? Didn't he take a gun out of someone's hand and prohibit a robbery from happening?
In 2016, he stopped a potential robber in Florida at a convenience store. Yep, you are correct.
And I'm not sure if I can, because the accounts are all very fresh and new, and I've read different articles, but I heard he actually pushed his son physically forward to get him closer to the rescuers and yelled, "Save my son." Come on. Great father, obviously, put his child first, and definitely a hero. Definitely a hero.
Dark side of the ring, Jimmy.
Yeah, here we go again.
The
I understand that you caught the Owen Hart one.
The Owen Hart.
So how slanted was the angle this time?
So let's talk. Hart died in May 23rd, 1999, due to injuries suffered following an equipment malfunction at the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri, at the Over the Edge pay-per-view. Dark side of the ring. So, my evaluation.
Shoot.
Wife loses her husband.
Right.
Kids lose their father.
Sure.
Lots of anger.
Logical.
Makes lots of sense.
Okay.
I felt it was tremendously slanted, and it almost annoyed me to a point.
Okay. What was it about it that bothered you?
I feel that, yes, terrible situation. Is the WWE responsible? Absolutely.
Sure.
Right? Absolutely.
Sure.
Also, look, Martha Hart claimed that the WWE used the wrong hook or the wrong equipment.
Okay.
Right? And it was a quick release hook because they wanted to make it more impressive. So when he came down to the ring, he could unhook himself. But, if you look at what went on or what the court case shows is that, the makers of the hook actually paid the WWE $9 million of the $18 million that they paid Martha Hart. So, which says to you that there was a problem with that hook.
There had to be.
Right?
There had to be.
So, I guess my question to you, Pharaoh, is this. Martha Hart gets $18 million from the WWE.
Yeah.
She takes the money.
Sure.
Right? Settles out of court, takes the money. Does she have a right to be mad at, not mad at Vince McMahon, but does she have a right to blame him for the death of her husband to the point that she's at, right? We've got to remember something. The Hart family themselves, right, actually were trying to convince her not to sue the WWE.
Right.
Right. Obviously, they had a working relationship with the WWE. They felt there was going to be an uncomfortable situation.
Right.
Thoughts?
I find it very interesting how other family members who are wrestlers and know that their business could be affected in the future with Vince McMahon after this horrible tragedy are like, yo, Martha, there's a much bigger, more complicated picture going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Cool out.
Right.
We totally get it. I can imagine all the tears that have been flowing in that family over the years, whether it's Brett, whether it's another brother of Owen's, whether it's Martha. I'm sure that they've dissected this with arguing behind the scenes with the family for years. I just feel at this point, I wish Martha would remember Owen's legacy was he was a wrestler. Put him in the Hall of Fame.
So they put
him in the Hall of Fame.
They portray this as really Owen didn't want to be a wrestler.
What?
Yeah.
What?
He
How?
wanted to be a regular guy.
How could you portray that he didn't want to be a wrestler? See, now I regret not catching it yet.
Well,
he
he does say it. He says it in some of the videos how he'd like to maybe
didn't want to be a wrestler.
Nah, just like he wanted to become a normal person and be a fireman or be whatever. And
okay,
which is fine. I get it. He didn't like to travel, right?
Right.
Got young kids. He's traveling 200-something days a year.
How many years was he a wrestler? He was on the road for years and years and years. If you don't like it that much, then step back and become a fireman. I'm confused. That confuses me. He's a Hart. There's something else he wanted to do. They all wrestle. That's what they do.
Here's another.
And they were great at it. Owen was amazing.
But here's another thing, right?
Okay.
Brett, the Montreal Screwjob.
Yeah.
Right? He leaves. We all know what went on with the Montreal Screwjob.
Okay.
Owen, right? The WWE offers him a pretty lucrative contract to stay.
Right.
And he stays. And he signs on.
Right. Owen wanted to be a wrestler. This was Owen's life. I feel like, and you know what else gets me a little confused? I could have sworn the stories that really happened is when the tragedy happened, Vince talked to every wrestler in the locker room, fresh off what had just happened, and said, does anybody here feel like they can't continue on tonight? Does anybody want to not do this right now? And not a single person said no. So I'm really not sure.
JR during this Dark Side of the Ring makes a statement that he felt like the show should not have gone on.
Should not have.
Right.
Did Jim say anything? Did JR say anything at the moment? Did he speak up? Because that's not documented anywhere, and if it is, I haven't read it. My apologies.
Well, again, I thought it was really skewed towards like Vince McMahon's the devil,
Right.
and Vince McMahon did this and did that. You know, they push in the deal that he wanted to move the court case to Connecticut,
Right.
right? So almost like, oh, he wanted to get out of Missouri because he wanted to go to Connecticut because that's his hometown and he's big time in Connecticut and he'll win that court case. No, the WWE.
He did that to get at the equipment company.
That's correct.
That's
Exactly.
what he did,
Exactly
to get the
right.
leverage from the equipment company. Because you know what makes me really crazy? Does anybody really, really think? Because I don't think this. And if I'm wrong, whatever, because it is all speculation.
Sure, go ahead.
If anybody thinks that Vince McMahon did not shed private tears over Owen Hart's tragic death, I'm sorry. I think they're wrong. I think that this destroyed Vince on the inside. I think that it hurt him bad.
I don't know what Vince. I don't know.
But when you just portray Vince as this monster,
Right.
and by the way, to Vince's defense, Vince never talks. Vince doesn't have to talk. Good for you, Vince. Let people talk about you. You don't have to answer this crap, okay? But it always comes across as, oh, he's a piece of crap. He's this, he's that. Do you really think he did not have a private breakdown over the death of one of his wrestlers who he clearly loved over the years and pushed? He loves the family. He's got a, sure, there were problems, but, man, he had a deep relationship with those people. He's got no feelings. He never had remorse over it. What the hell, man? He's a human being. And when he passes on, most of these people who've been throwing crap on him are probably still going to throw crap on him. He's a person. He's also the finest wrestling promoter mind that ever came across. He's Ringling Brothers. He's everything that made the business big time. Hate him all you want.
Think about,
I mean, to me, I would ask Martha to please. I know you're going to hate him forever, and you should. It's fine.
Right.
How dare I try to remove your personal feelings towards your husband's death?
Right.
Never. Never. But let Owen be remembered now, because all he's being remembered for in many ways by a lot of people, not all, wrestling purists know who he was in the ring and love him for it to this day, but all he's being talked about is his fall. And Vince and Martha and the family. What about the fact that he was a great wrestler? Restore his
Martha also says in
wrestling
a documentary
dignity.
that the WWE Hall of Fame is not a real Hall of Fame.
Okay, fine.
It's just a money grab.
Where's the building? Totally get it. Can't stand the fact that there's no building. Totally get it. Money grab? Really? I mean, sure, fine. But does that mean that these wrestlers shouldn't be honored?
Well, that's
over the
point.
years.
If you
Andre
really,
the Giant shouldn't
you
be
should-
honored.
you
Pedro
should
Morales shouldn't be
allow the
honored.
fans-
Owen Hart should be honored.
How about closure?
Do it.
How about closure?
How about?
Allow the fans have some closure with Owen
Boy,
Hart.
yeah, please. I guess that's what I'm pleading for. Let's get back to the fact that he was a great wrestler and try to remember him more so for that than May 23rd, 1999, where that fan stood behind JR as JR was trying to break the news, and he's pointing at the ceiling, and I'm watching live, and I'm going, what just happened? What just happened?
All right, so I'm going to make a statement here,
Oy.
and correct me if I'm wrong.
All right.
So in the documentary, everybody talks about what a great wrestler Owen was. He was, this thoroughbred and yada, yada, yada.
Okay.
Owen Hart doesn't die on that date, finishes out his career.
Mm-hmm.
Is he still remembered as being this great wrestler?
You know what death does.
I'm not asking you that. No, I'm asking you.
No, do I
Go in
think
a
he would have
time
been
machine.
remembered on a level that he's being remembered? Probably not.
Thank
to
you.
be very honest.
I gotta be
You're
honest
asking
with
me
you.
to be
Thank
honest.
you.
I'm being honest about it.
Thank
Probably
you.
not. Is he
Owen
gonna be
Hart did
remembered
not
as,
drag me to the
But
arena.
thank God for Owen, though, that he wasn't booked during the days that we see today, because Owen would probably wind up being like poor Dolph Ziggler. Here's a guy who could totally wrestle, but hey, gray area, gray area, gray area, gray area. I can't.
Look, I'm not
Owen-
tearing Owen apart. I'm going to ask
No.
you. Did he have good mic skills?
I thought he was
He was
pretty
okay.
funny. No, I thought he was fine.
It was okay.
I thought he was fine. Didn't think he was bad.
No.
Didn't go look at the stumbling, mumbling dude that they put a microphone in front of. No, I thought he was fine.
I thought Owen Hart was an okay
Super
wrestler.
solid. You know I liked Owen more than Brett. You know that.
Which
I'm
is
one
crazy.
of these weirdos.
Which is
Yeah,
crazy.
one of these weirdos. Brett is clearly like the full package for the most part. I don't think Brett was that great on the mic either sometimes. How's that feel? I've said that before.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, come on, look, compared to Ric Flair. I mean, if you want to start, talking about guys who never did, like Macho Man the other day, I'm watching him. Cup of coffee, Tito Santana. You're just a cup of coffee. Yeah.
Hart sued Lumar. That's the makers of the clip.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
But guess what?
What?
When she found out that the WWE was going to sue Lumar,
Yeah.
she dropped her case against Lumar and went totally after the WWE.
Why?
And she had some kind of agreement with Lumar.
With Lumar.
Yeah.
Oh, they were going to double team and gangbang.
And by the
Vince?
way, for people that
that doesn't work.
want to know, this is stuff you can look up. You can
Right.
read it. That's all I did, right?
Right.
I didn't want to get too deep into it, okay?
Right. You know what the worst part is? Is what if Owen actually accidentally did detach the cable? I always wonder about that. There was nobody there filming the whole thing. It was what if that did happen? Oy.
I know they
know?
did this. They did say they ran a test run through it,
Man, oh man.
and it worked,
Right.
right?
Right.
Look, I don't want to put blame on Owen Hart, man, and I don't want to put
No,
blame on
I
Martha
don't
Hart,
know,
and I don't
you
want
know?
to put blame on his children,
Right.
okay?
Right.
But again, to blame the WWE and Vince McMahon solely for what
Right.
went on here. They
Right.
didn't force Owen Hart
Hey, if
to
God-
go to the top of that arena
Right.
and come down.
Right. And if God forbid anything had happened to Sting in WCW, was Ted Turner the steaming pile of pieces, and it's all his fault?
So we can agree that this was tragic.
Yes.
We can agree that Martha Hart and her family have a right to hate Vince McMahon because
Sure.
she's angry.
Absolutely.
She had a right to take the $18 million.
Absolutely.
Okay? But my feeling is she doesn't have the right not to allow the fans to celebrate Owen Hart.
I agree with that.
Okay? And I think she doesn't have the right to solely blame Vince McMahon and the WWE for
Right.
what happened to Owen Hart.
The company, the apparatus company, has to take heat for that. And by the way, Bret Hart has already gone pretty much on record asking Martha to stop and let Owen be honored. So we're not saying anything that outlandish that would really, get the indie people to light their turnbuckles on fire.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Morning of May 20th, 2011.
This is bad.
Randy Savage died at the age of 58 after suffering a sudden heart attack while driving his wife in Florida. He became unresponsive and lost control of his Jeep Wrangler, crashing into a tree.
Mr. Macho Man. Well, as you know, the other day. It's just by coincidence, too, because I got to be honest, I wasn't aware we were approaching it. I don't have a calendar of wrestlers' birthdays and demises.
Do you remember the day he died?
Yeah, I do. I guess we just started watching some Macho Man clips and interviews and highlights from his career, like with the coffee cup and the cups of cream that he was putting into Gene Okerlund's pocket. Oh, the cream always rises, yeah! It was just hilarious. But then, of course, they showed him, Elizabeth, will you marry me? And the Pharaoh turns into a big... Oh,
You were crying? Oh, my God.
come
My memories of Macho Man, two of my favorite memories was WrestleMania 2, which I was at the Coliseum against George Steele.
Right.
But that was kind of your first, he was the Intercontinental Champion at that point, and he was coming into his own. But that was my first taste of the real Macho Man. But still to this day, what gives me chills, WrestleMania 5.
Oh.
I Hate You, Hulk Hogan interview.
Oh, my God. Best
The
ever.
emotion that's behind that.
Yeah.
The pain and the anger.
Macho Man's character, Hulk Hogan, was the perfect kid. Everyone loved Hulk Hogan.
Well, not just that.
I hate you,
He had
Hulk
his hands
Hogan.
on his woman,
Right.
on her buttocks.
This is
carried her
Did
on
he
the
really? Was
shoulder.
Well, I remember the shoulder.
Do you remember
carrying.
do you remember the
He did
slow,
not like the shoulder carrying.
Do you remember the
slow
slow
burn
build?
Oh my God! It was the
my
greatest build
God.
ever. It took months, and you salivated every week, wondering when it was going to get to that final moment of.
Randy Macho Man Savage is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, one of the greatest personalities, and to be honest with you, all the things that he did for. He talked about George Steinbrenner, what he did for all those kids.
Every Christmas.
That's a guy who left this earth too soon. Oh.
Yeah. Hey, here's a weird question, real quick, before we finish on Savage. Do you think his WCW career was a bust?
Yes.
Interesting. Tell me why.
Well, first I will tell you, I was a huge fan of Randy Savage's for a very long time, even through the military. Big fan of his.
Sure.
Again, you live your gimmick. So when Randy broke off and became like cowboy, like Macho King, great gimmick.
I loved it.
Right?
Sherry.
Cowboy hat, Savage,
Not
not
a fan.
so
huh?
good.
Not a fan, huh?
WCW Savage, not so good. I will tell you, when he returned back with Gorgeous George, all jacked up on the juice with his little ponytail,
Okay.
became a fan. Became a fan of his.
Yeah, well, I think Gorgeous George helped you along the way, though.
No, that would make a difference.
You know?
But do you think he was a failure in WCW?
Well, you know me, the nerdy guy with the back of the baseball card thing. I think he won 5 WCW World Championships, I think. So as far as the back of the baseball card, okay, he went where he was supposed to go. And I'm okay with that. And that made sense from a booking sense. He's got to be champion multiple times if you're going to bring him in. He still had enough left in the tank. I think Vince was wrong to make him want to just retire. Don't you think that was wrong? He had plenty left to wrestle. Like, let's say Vince had continued pushing him over the years or something. I guess there was no way, right? With the attitude that were coming. He was just moving out the old guys and bringing in the newer guys. Yeah, I guess not. You know what I did like from him? I remember one episode very clearly where Randy sat in the middle of that ring with a chair and took the show over and held it hostage. I want to talk to Bischoff. I'm not leaving. He like literally sat there and like people would try to come in. He was.
But that was later. That was later, Randy, right? That was
I
later.
Can't remember
Randy,
exactly when that was. Right, this nerdy second. But I remember that being an awesome segment.
Look, Undertaker last ride.
Hey, I finally saw part 1 today. Yay! What a some nerd I am. I finally saw part 1 today. I thought it was fantastic. But the most important thing was the Undertaker's massive respect for the guy everybody loves to hate was amazing. Undertaker absolutely loves Vince McMahon. So go ahead, you marks. On him now.
So
have fun.
That's a great point, Pharaoh.
Have fun.
Let's take some key points about the Undertaker.
You know?
1.
Yeah.
Named his kid after Vince McMahon.
Right.
Named his kid after Vince McMahon.
That's love.
Right.
That's respect.
Number 2 said he would. Well, his wife.
Right.
Said
she came across awesome. By the way,
she did. By the way,
boy, oh boy, did she come across awesome on this.
That Mark quote would take a bullet.
Yeah.
For Vince McMahon. Now think about what they went through: the Montreal screw job, the Owen Hart death, right. So many things. So many different things. The Monday Night Wars.
Taker stayed loyal.
Right.
He stayed loyal. Stayed loyal.
So if Vince was really a dirtbag, right,
I don't see Taker throwing his morals away for a bad man, if that's what you're getting at.
And look, he could have went to WCW, right?
You know what I love? My favorite scene in part 1, which I caught today. My favorite scene when he fought Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And it was weird. When they were showing him fighting Roman Reigns, they showed the part where Roman tried to reverse the tombstone and give a tombstone to Undertaker himself, but Undertaker wasn't in the shape, forcing Roman to attempt to deadlift him, which he couldn't. And I was going to myself, why are they showing him messing up? That's weird. But the beauty of it was they explained that, because you got to have patience sometimes as a viewer, you know? So the next thing they do is they show Taker after the match. And what I loved about this documentary, you can see the pressure on Taker's face as a performer, as a human being, before the match. You could see it in his eyes. He's so intense. He so wants to do well, as he said, for his company, for his boss, for himself, his family.
How about the fans?
He's got these things to fans.
How about the fans?
He's got all of this going on in his mind. One wrong step, they're all watching. This is so important. My legacy, blah, blah, blah. What I loved were 2 things after the match where he struggled, and they showed him struggling. After the match, he comes back to that dressing room. He looks deliriously, 2 things, happy and relieved that he can now relax. He's done his job. He's performed. Vince McMahon comes into his dressing room, and all Taker wants to know is, are you happy? And Vince says, yes, I am. And Taker hugs him and says, that's all that matters. And people wonder why Undertaker is considered the Derek Jeter of his locker room, or the Thurman Munson. People wonder why he's so loyal to Vince and Vince so loyal to him. Vince has got just as many reasons to be loyal to Taker as Taker does to him. This is an amazing marriage that has lasted 30 years. How evil is Vince McMahon? I have a hard time with that when I see the way Taker appreciates and respects him.
Yeah.
And you're right. Where are all those keyboard guys to destroy Mark Calloway? Go ahead. Call him a homer. Go ahead. Call him a brown noser. Go ahead. Say you took the money all these years. By the way, I love how Taker cuts them all off at the sphincter and says, yeah, I can only work once or twice a year. Yeah, I do feel guilty that I could be taking somebody else's spot, but I know that I work hard. I put up. The seats get filled. The show goes on. And I'm the damn Ozzy Osbourne of this heavy metal scene. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. The Undertaker went into the Hell in the Cell match with Foley with a broken foot.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And then he dropped from the cage and landed on those 2 feet, one of them broken.
How about
what?
Hey, here's a telling
Yeah,
statement.
wrestling's fake.
Here's
Okay,
Here's a
whatever.
telling statement. Scott Hall's been in studio.
Yeah.
His quote. He was watching one match with The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Behind the curtain.
Yeah.
He watched the match and said, I got no problem with that guy making more money than me.
Funny how
And for
Scott-
Scott Hall to say that,
It's funny
yeah.
how it always goes to the wallet with Scott, though. Oh, that guy deserves to make more than me. It's
the hell
pretty
was that?
funny. I don't know.
That was terrible.
Hey, boo-boo. I don't
If
know.
you're going to say things, stay consistent.
Right.
Because if you hate Vince McMahon, then you better as well hate The Undertaker.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Period.
Right.
End of
No, I
story.
don't have to. He's a wrestler and a character, and I'm into the character. I don't have to. Vince is mean.
Here's the deal, Pharaoh. How do you fix wrestling? What would the
What,
Pharaoh
the way
do?
it is right now? Are we doing it under current COVID-19 television restrictions?
Sure, why not?
Well, here's one thing I would do. Can we stop having them jump on the turnbuckle and do their poses in front of no one? Can we stop that? That does not work right now. It works when there's 20, 40, 60,000 people and you can do your thing and get a response.
Does it work in
works
AEW?
No.
With their wrestlers and around?
No.
I personally think that they should just totally bring back the squash match, right?
They seem to be starting that.
I mean, listen, I got to be honest with you. With AEW, every time Marco stuns in a match and he's getting kicked,
Yeah.
it's great to watch.
Is it?
I love it.
Okay.
And, look, back in the day when we watched Midnight Wrestling, right?
Yeah.
The bad guys would squash these jobbers or
Yeah, but Frankie Williams was 230 pounds. Marco's 30.
Stop with the live interviews in the ring. Have a canned interview with Gene, like the Gene Okerlund interview.
Right.
Right?
They don't have a Gene Okerlund.
And only have your real stars doing those type of interviews.
Right.
And just have your guys that you want to build because you think there's a future.
Right.
Have those squash matches.
How about less pay-per-views? How about making it count a little bit more when you have a pay-per-view? It allows you more time to develop your storylines. At least AEW's got that. I'll give them that. And I don't go out handing out compliments to AEW, but I do prefer the fact that the pay-per-views, there's ample time to build up a feud.
So then it's funny. So you bring that up. You going to be buying their pay-per-view this weekend?
Of course not. What am I running to? Orange Cassidy? Marco's stunted growth, according to Jim Cornette? That was his line. Get mad at him. Go off anyway. Good for you, Jim. No, seriously, though. I mean...
Oh, my God.
I don't know. This got to be, by the way, that's the best way to build it up. Would you buy it? No. Whatever. Hey.